Hello and welcome to the second part of my presentation today. Titled this Working the Big Game. This could be any game. Remember, the game that day for those kids is their big game, whatever level, whether it's summer ball or whether it's high school ball. That game is their biggest game. But some of the things we're going to talk about in this presentation are anecdotes, little tools you can use, veterans, newer guys, middle of the road guys, to help yourself get to that next level and be that guy, that girl in the big game. There is no manual, there is no set parameters for this. It's just the it factor. If you look at the top officials in any sport, they have it. It is the sum total of who and what you are as an official. You are evaluated from the moment you walk onto the field. It starts on your way to the field. You're being evaluated. Some people have it even at that moment. It's perception, perception, and perception. It's everything. You never have another chance at a first impression. It sounds cliche-ish, but that's 100% true. If you walk out with wrinkled pants, a faded shirt, a hat that's a mess, and your shoes are a mess, you're going to be treated as such. You might be the best umpire there is, but you blew your chance at that first impression. It's the little things. Little things, mannerisms, your posture, the way you communicate to coaches, players, handling issues and substitutes. You could be the best rules guy there are, but if you cannot handle people and handle and work with the kids in a respectful manner, you're not going to make it very far. Officiating is more than calls and balls and than calling balls and strikes, safe out and fair foul. It's what you do and how you are perceived during the downtime. That is very important. In between innings, we're not talking with our partners every half inning. We're not talking with fans. We're not talking to the coaches every half inning, especially if we have a banger to end the inning somewhere. We're going to stay separated as far as we can as partners, and the perception is going to be that we're talking about that play when we're really most likely not talking about that. Who are you as an official? Who do you want to be? Do you ever notice that some officials have the ability to always be in the right position, to make the right call, and to say the right words at the right time? I don't know if some people can truly develop it, but you can refine it and use it. Work to be that person. So work on your rules, work on your mechanics, work to be that person. The Blue Book is developed to put you in the right spot to make the best possible judgment call. Tournament officials have a trust factor. Coaches know them. Tournament directors, they know who they are and they trust them to take care of the game. So much of what we do as umpires is basically taking care of the game for them. Administrators, the coaches, they don't want to have to worry about the game being handled. And when we get to that big game, when we get to the tournament, they know that we've earned that spot to be there. So there's less worrying about those things. Our goal is to be that guy. It takes years, possibly decades, to develop that. If you're an up and comer and you finally get that first shot, it's going to be a little bit different for you than somebody with 15 years, somebody that they've seen over and over again. So you have to work, and it's not given to you. You have to earn it. So develop it and nurture that feeling. You as an umpire may be as good as any other official, but you have to develop a trust. If they don't know who you are yet, you have to build that and develop and be a part of that development. Identify your weakness as an official and turn them into strengths. Seek out constructive criticism and listen to it. If you ask somebody to, hey, help me work on my timing, and then that person observes you and notices maybe your timing's a little quick, listen to it. Don't discard it and say, I thought it was fine. If you ask the question, be prepared for the answer. Video your games, get evaluated, have others evaluate you, and listen to it. Video does not lie. Patience. Get there a year late rather than a game too soon. There are a lot of people that are in such a rush to get to that pinnacle. And if they're not ready for it, they haven't seen enough, then they might not be ready for it at that time. So if you're a little bit hesitant or not quite sure, it's best to wait another year. Coaches give you the baseballs and they also give you the game. They turn the game over to you and you are entrusted with the game. The paradox is, while you're in charge of the game, the very best umpires are rarely ever noticed. There's no better compliment than, hey, coach, good to see you again. Have I had you yet this year? Coach, I had your game 2 weeks ago. I don't even remember. That is wonderful. Great to hear. Things like that. When we are not noticed, we are doing our job. Talk about consistency. It's within the game. It's game to game that gets you where you want to go. We're all going to have a game where we struggle a little bit. But if we struggle a little bit each game, then we have bigger things that we need to worry about. But game to game, that is your consistency. Not just a strike zone or correct calls. It's also the consistency in your demeanor and how you carry yourself. We're all going to have that game where we run a little bit late, and that's going to happen. Communicate to your partner, somehow, I'm going to be pushing it. I'm going to be there a couple minutes late. Let them know, but don't be that person every game. Don't be consistent that way. It takes years and hundreds of games to develop a consistency with the way that you handle yourself on the field. Consistency also means getting there on time and early. Have a solid pregame. Communicate with the ADs. Handle issues that might occur during the game, and being the same person game in and game out with no distractions. Who are you competing with? As an umpire, you are competing with not only yourself, but your entire district. We all want to get to that spot. Every official, every umpire in your district are all fighting for the same spots. A veteran umpire once told me that he was not going to give me his tournament games. I was going to have to take them away from him. So this is, getting that shot is not a guarantee. It's not a gift. It is earned. Keep in mind that as you get better, as you work to improve, so are other officials, including the other tournament umpires. You have to work to improve. You have to outwork them. Try harder. Believe me, it gets noticed. Go to clinics, learn, absorb, develop, better yourself, be seen, make connections. So much of what we do is a personal relationship. It's personal connections with fellow umpires, with school administrators, with OHSAA administrators. It's a personal connection that we have to make. Do what they tell you to do. Pretty simple. If they ask you to go there, go there. Communicate, whether it's communicating to the school the day of the game, communicating with your partner I'm running late, where we're going to park, etc., and communicate with the coaches and the players during the game. Communication is key. When we talk about communication with your partners, so ahead of time, especially if it's a new school you haven't been to before, let your partner know, hey, I'm coming from this side of town. It looks like traffic's going to be rough. I'm going to get there as quick as I can so we can have that pregame. Find out where they're going to park. We don't always have the luxury of extra time before a game to drive around the parking lot to find out where your partner is. Park in a way where you're away from buses and spectators as best you can, and have a discrete area where you can get changed at your car if there's no locker room provided. ADs, tournament directors, do not like surprises. So let them know that you're going to be there. Confirm that day that you're going to be there. They just want to make sure that I have 2 umpires or 3 umpires that are going to be there at 3:45 for a 4:30 game. That's what they want to know. Don't be late. If there's a situation, contact the AD, contact your partner or tournament director, contact somebody, let them know. There are enough tools out there, whether it's Arbiter or whatever the case may be. All that information is typically a click away. One negative incident can derail you. If you're late, you're a no-show, and it's that game, it's going to be hard to recover from. There's enough communication out there where you can let someone know what the situation is ahead of time, so there is no surprise. Work every game as it is the biggest game. Hold yourself to a very high standard when you get that game. It is now easier to work. If you treat every game as it's that big game, when you get that shot, it's going to seem like it's just another game. Deal with crowds, pressure, evaluations, and higher standards. All those things come with getting those bigger games, getting that higher level tournament game. There are bigger crowds, more pressure, there are evaluators there, and there are higher standards, as there should be. Tournament directors want everything to run smoothly. Be that guy that makes that happen. There are a lot of umpires who go to the same district or region every year because they know, those directors know that those games are in good hands with those people. And that's what we all strive to be. Work games so that the tournament directors want you back. Plain and simple. There's no greater compliment than being asked back year after year after year. Be a great crew member. Be a good partner. Which would you rather be known for? This is going to be great. I'm working with so-and-so. Or, crap, I have to work with so-and-so. I hope it rains. Which would you rather be? Absolutely no 3 and 4 man mechanics. All positions. Be flexible. Cover for each other during the game. Don't let anybody hang. Help each other out. There's no such thing as, that's not my call, that's his call. No, there's no bailing each other out. We're going to get together and we're going to help each other out. Be that guy that everybody wants to work with. Don't use the tournament game to prove that you belong there. You were chosen because you belong there. So all the other things, all the other games leading up to that point, that's why you belong there, not that specific game. So don't make that tournament game the time for you to prove that you belong there. You're there because you've earned it. I thank you for your time, and hopefully there is 1 or 2 bits of information that you can take moving forward. And I wish everybody good luck during this upcoming season. Hello, and welcome to my presentation about Rule 2, Playing Terms and Definitions. For me, Rule 2 was one of the most dry and simple rules in the rule book, but certainly one that requires our review as we prepare and work through a baseball season. Some things to remember, we're going to refer to the 2020 rules and casebook. And this will not be me simply reading from the rule book. There's going to be some interjection, some insight, and also lots of video as we progress through our review of Rule 2. My approach to Rule 2 is we must have a knowledge of the terms and definitions. We're going to refer to situations using the terminology that we've learned and reviewed in Rule 2. And Rule 2, like all the rules, are there for us to ensure a fair contest. Breaking down certain situations starts with Rule 2. It's the backbone of the rule book. As an instructor in multiple sports, I always start with Rule 2 because we need to have that firm understanding of the proper terms and abbreviations that we use. I like to read through Rule 2 several times during and leading up to the season. It's a constant refresher to make sure that we're speaking and referring to the correct rule references. So let's take a look at some specific rules covered in Rule 2. 2-1, abbreviations. This is a great starting point to sound like an umpire. You can always tell when you're out somewhere and there's umpires and non-umpires as part of the group. And when umpires start talking, outsiders start to listen more. And when things happen during the game moving forward, they look at us as umpires because they can tell by the way that we're talking and the way that we're sounding, and we're using the proper terms and abbreviations that we've learned in Rule 2. We sound like an umpire. We sound like an official. And using the correct terms, R1 and B1 and F6, F5, and terms like that and abbreviations like that, that's what helps us reconstruct plays the same way all the time. So there's no miscommunication as we talk about plays and reconstruct them, whether it's during the game with your partner, post-game in the locker room or by your car, or even during the pregame of the game you're working the next day. Hey, we had this play happen last night. What do you think? How did we do on this play? It was a ground ball to F6 and so on and so forth. So we break it down and do it the same way every time. Rule 2-4-1-2 and -3, balls, base on balls, and intentional base on balls. This may seem introductory to all of us, but sometimes the most simple of situations can get us into the most trouble. Knowing which of these rules requires a timeout, and then remembering to put the ball back in play. A quick refresher of these simple rules can help save us from that situation during the game. Rule 2-5, fair ball, base hit. A good review for those batted balls down the line and near the bases. Remembering in all of the situations, it's where the ball is touched, not the player's feet or body. Sound mechanics and timing are imperative in situations like these. Refreshing this rule will help you apply it quickly and without hesitation, and this certainly helps to exude confidence on the field. A good pregame will cover situations like this, knowing who has a responsibility of a batted ball up to the bag, etc. Things like that are going to be talked about in a good pregame, so we're not caught off guard on the field. We don't have one umpire signaling fair and the other one killing it for a foul ball. That can be avoided in a good pregame. We're going to take a look at this play. It's from a major league game, as all these clips are. And it's this exact situation is not likely to happen for us, but certainly something along these lines can happen. But let's take a look, and this is going to involve rules and mechanics as to not acting too quickly on a fair/foul ball.
And that one is going to spin back into fair territory.
That's rather incredible to have happened with all the English that gets put on this baseball. But timing and mechanics, if we react too quickly and kill this when the ball is fouled by 7 feet, we're going to be wrong, and we have some explaining to do. So if we use our proper timing and mechanics and not reacting too quickly to the ball being fouled, then we're going to be correct. Again, we're going to be a little bit late, but we're going to be correct. And that's all that matters. Make one call and make it right. Rather incredible. Again, not likely to happen on the fields that we're working until we get to the tournament, but certainly a good discussion play for rule and mechanic references, certainly. Rule 2-7, the batter's box, or the batter runner. A quick reference to diagram 2 in the rule book on page 8, rule 1-2 has a great diagram of the field with an emphasis on the batter's box. And remember that we are not the ground crew, but knowing what the dimensions are to the batter's box by rule can help diffuse a situation for sure. And what to do if these markings are wrong will be covered in my next presentation. 2-9-1, catch or no catch. This rule is often debated, especially when a no catch call is made. One key phrase to remember is a voluntary release of the ball. The player must survive the ground with possession of the ball. Airborne player has the ball in his glove, hits the ground, rolls. If he comes up without the baseball, we have no catch. He has to survive the ground with the baseball. Watch the action of the ball leaving the glove. This is a little bit more information we can use in determining catch or no catch. The ball does not typically go flying out at a right angle out of the glove without being pulled out. So if you see, the hand go in and the ball drop straight down, that's probably a non-voluntary release of the ball. But if you see that hand come out and the ball goes flying at an angle, then the ball was in his non-glove hand and he pulled it out with that, and then we can award a catch and progress. Let's take a look at this rather simple looking fly ball, but this is, for me, an example of a no catch because this is an involuntary release of the ball. The ball almost goes straight down out of his glove. Second base umpire signaling no catch right away without hesitation. Obviously, we're going to have a discussion on this play because a rather routine fly ball that hits the ground is certainly up for debate. But let's hold on here for another second or two. We're going to see the slow motion replay as the umpires get to talk about it. But the hand goes into the glove. The ball drops out. And we have a no catch. Again, unpopular, but it's the right call. This is a no catch. Rule 2-10, conferences. We're going to reference Rule 3-4 in a different rule, but we're going to focus on when conferences end. Defensive conferences end when the coach crosses the foul line if the conference was held in fair territory. If the defensive conference is held in foul territory, the conference is over when the coach initially starts back towards the dugout. And an offensive conference ends when the coach initially starts to go back to the dugout or coach's box. Obviously, at our level, we're going to have a little bit of leeway if it's a quick turnaround and one more thing, as long as it's not going to draw undue time or add, more time to a conference where it's over. If he's doing it not in the spirit of the rule, then we're going to shut it down. But if he's doing it, if he's doing it not to extend a situation or he's not abusing the rule, then obviously common sense would prevail, and we're going to progress that way. Good communication with the coaches regarding the conferences remaining is certainly imperative with the coaches and with your partner, so everybody's aware. 2-16, foul ball versus foul tip. Remember that a foul ball is a dead ball. Foul tip is a live ball. A foul tip goes from the pitcher's hand, the bat hitting the ball, and then it goes directly to the catcher's mitt or hand without touching anything else. Anything other than that, foul ball, and we're going to kill that. And something like this, if it goes, if it's a trap up against the catcher's chest protector or something along those lines, we're certainly going to get help from our base umpire looking in, as the plate umpire doesn't always have the best look, obviously, through the player's body. 2-19, infield fly. Remember, we all know this, runners on first and second or first, second, and third. Less than 2 outs. Ordinary effort to catch that ball has to be a fair ball, and we can make this call when the ball reaches an appreciable height, and the umpire's judgment comes into play there. Those are the parameters in place to have an infield fly type situation. So our pre-pitch mechanic, to remind ourselves and our partner, hand on the chest, that we have infield fly situation. And now we're going to look at some more in-depth parameters. The position of the fielder does not matter. He can be in the shallow outfield. That's not limited to the cut of the grass or the cut of the infield. It does not matter. Okay, we have to know the level of play and watch the fielders. Ordinary effort for a varsity Division I player is much different than a freshman from let's say a smaller school. Okay, we have to know the level of our players. Watch the players. When the ball goes up in the air, we're not watching the baseball. We're watching the players. They're going to tell us, was it ordinary effort? Was he in position to make a routine play on a ball? Okay, a few video examples of infield fly. This first clip, okay, bases loaded, 1 out. We have the parameters for an infield fly situation. So we're going to progress, and hopefully every infield fly situation we have turns out this way. Can of corn, second baseman, catches it, infield fly, batters out, no problem, runners hold, and we progress. Very simple. This one is a little less simple. Again, first and second, 1 out, and we're going to have a infield fly. And even in Major League Baseball, this will happen. No, he is not out at second base because he isn't tagged. The announcers eventually get this one correct. Just remember, don't give up on the play. Do not give up on this. The ball is dropped and we have a Keystone Cop type situation. So just remember the rules and what happens, what the runners are entitled to do. They can advance at their own risk, which means the runner is out. So the runners are not forced anymore. So correctly, they threw to second. Yes, was not tagged. He is safe. So again, don't give up on the play. Continue to officiate and keep in mind what has to happen for the runners to be put out. Again, Major League players will even have a hiccup on a play like this. First base umpire called it correctly, verbalized, and then they forgot to do what they had to do. That's the same one. Let's progress now and watch one of the more famous infield fly situations. This is a great example of a different level of ordinary effort. First and second, 1 out. Shortstop goes out. Appeared to be ordinary effort for them. Okay, this is not, we're never going to see that at a high school game. Probably not. But a different version of ordinary effort. That's what we're going to be reviewing on this particular one. Knowing the level that you're officiating. Okay, ordinary effort is much different for a major league umpire. And the timing, this is a late call by the left field umpire. It's called right about now because it appeared that he is underneath it and the ball actually lands where he was, where he put his arms up, apparently calling off the left fielder. So we have to take that into consideration. This is a play for great debate, whether it was or not. But the objective of watching this clip is to know the level that you're working, what is ordinary effort or not, and when can we make that call. Anytime when that ball is on its way down, we can make that call. It could be, camped underneath it at the very end, and then we can have a late infield fly call. That does not matter. The play officiates itself. Let's move on to Rule 2-21, interference. This is physical or verbal by the offense. Contact does not need to be made. It can be on the batter, the runner, the coach, or umpire. This first clip, we're going to run it through and see what we have. This is a ordinary. Everybody knows we have runner's interference. The fielder has the right to that spot on the field, and we're going to put the runners back. Not every play is that cut and dry. Let's take a look at this play. Bottom of the 13th inning. This is a big call, but it's the right call. Ground ball to the left side. We're going to want the hesitation, that little bit of hesitation by the third baseman to have to avoid or go around the runner is enough. Again, there is no contact on this play, but it is the correct call. Might not be the most popular call, obviously, in this game, in this situation, but watch the hesitation by the third baseman. The fielder does not have the right to be there. The base runner does not have the right to be there. The fielder does. And they get this call correct. This one is a different interference type of call. Pretty easy, cut and dry. Batter runner interference, running outside of the running lane. Again, hitting the runner really just helps us make this call. Watch where he's running. His intent is to disrupt this play. He's clearly outside of the running lane, and this is going to be the home plate umpire's call. The first base umpire continues to officiate, calls him safe, but the home plate umpire steps up after and rules the batter runner interference. This next one is a little bit more unusual, but it does happen. You can't tell quite right away on the first look what happens. Runner's safe. Plate umpire has a delayed the ball situation, sends the runners back. He's trying to communicate that the catcher hit him on his throw towards third. Again, unpopular, but it is correct. You see it a little bit on this view. Throws, and on his backswing, I guess, for the throw, on the pump part of the throw, hits the umpire in the mask, and whether it affected the play or not does not matter. It is the rule, and we have to officiate. He has a good slow motion look, almost knocks his mask off, and it's safe. The run is returned. There's nothing we can do. It's unpopular, but it's the right call. This one happens rather quickly. It's hard to see for the untrained eye what happens, but at our level, this type of play happens a lot. Batter stepped across home plate. and interferes with the action, because most of the people are watching the action at second base. They're not watching what umpires are watching, which is the batter step across. All right, come on, let's go. You're out. So let's watch it again. Now just focus on the batter. Don't watch the throw. He has no business stepping across home plate right into the alley where the catcher's trying to throw. So good mechanics, good timing. Comes right up. We have a delayed dead ball situation, because if he throws him out, we have no disadvantage created. So we're going to let this play go out right now. That's interference. Continue to officiate, and then at the end of the play, we're going to signal time and move forward. I apologize for the quality of this video, but it's the only one that I could find that shows coaches interference. So the first clip, you don't really see it, but let's watch the second angle. Watch the coach. Whoop, we got to pick off. Yep, you're out every time. Can't do that. We have to have our head on the swivel. We have to be aware of these type of plays. In a three-man system, this will be easy. In a two-man system, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, but somebody has to be aware when it's that bad. It's kind of a unique play, but we have to be ready because it will happen. Rule 2-22, obstruction or fake tag. Again, intentional or unintentional by the defense. Contact, like interference, is not necessary. It can be verbal and still be obstruction. And be sure to review the penalty for those in the base running rule book. Rule 2-32, sliding. Review what is legal on a force play versus a tag play. If it is a force play, the slide must be directly to the base. If it's a tag play, the runner must be able to reach the base with either a hand on a head first slide or a foot on a foot first slide. So let's take a look at this play. We are going to see this slide. Not exactly cut and dry until we look at the angle from the first base camera, but it's rather apparent when we see the other angle. Moving forward, and he slides into shallow center to, as they say, go get him. And this is an immediate dead ball for us. That runner is out, as well as a batter runner. Even if a throw isn't made, we do not let this go. That is an out and then a double play. This concludes my review of Rule 2. Hopefully you got a little piece of information that you can use as you progress through and prepare for the upcoming baseball season. And stay tuned for my next presentation, which is game management and situations.